Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight, brought to you by the Georgetown NAACP branch number 5520. We have a lot to talk about today in a short amount of time, but there's a lot going on in the community, as I'm sure in your community also, with the beautiful spring weather heading into summer. There's a lot going on in our communities, but there's always a lot going on in social, racial, and civil justice. And we got a lot to talk about, and we'll see you right after this opening.
Heavenly Father, we ask you to put a hand of protection.
And we're back, and I'm going to go ahead and welcome in my co-host today, Deontay Winchester, first Vice President of the Georgetown NAACP.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'm here.
Above ground. That's just enough right now.
That's right. Good to see you, Deontay. I know you got your little activist with you.
Yes, ma'am. She's active to say the least.
Very good. We're going to come back to you after we go through all our topics to find out where you are in Plantersville and what's going on in Planters. So let me see if Ebony's ready to come on. We also have with us Ebony Hughes, third Vice President of the Georgetown NAACP. Good morning, Ebony.
Good morning, Marilyn, and good morning, Deontay. It's happy to be here with you this morning.
All right, very good. All right, so this is what's going on, folks. Let's go ahead and dive into it. We're going to talk about elections, what's going on with the steel mill, and what you can do to help that effort, what's going on with K through 12 education. Then we'll find out where Deontay is and what's going on. And of course, we encourage everyone to go out and support. So let's start with elections. I'm going to share the screen, folks, because we have elections coming up. Tuesday, June 14th, primary day. And of course, we encourage everyone to vote. Every election is important. Local, state, national, special elections, they are all important. And in South Carolina, we have primary elections coming up on Tuesday, June 14th. But before that, you can still get registered. And we've put up on the screen, you can get registered online at scvotes.org by tomorrow. Get registered. And if you want to get registered by mail, it must be postmarked by Monday, May 16th, 2022. If you want to do it in person, it's too late. That was yesterday, that deadline in person. That means walking into an election commission office and getting registered. But you can go ahead and get that form on Monday, fill it out, put it in the mail, make sure it's postmarked on Monday the 16th, or you could go online in the comfort of your home and get registered to vote. Deontay, Ebony, I'll start with you. Why do you think it's important that we need to vote in every election?
You know what, Marilyn, that's a really good question. I have a whole list of why people should get out and vote. I'll tell you why I vote. I vote because I feel, especially in local elections, because they have those type of elections affect us more intimately when it comes down to things that we see and can touch and feel every single day, such as our roads. But with the primaries coming up, there are a number of different things that we'll be voting for, but I'll give you a list such as the right to choose. Right now, our democracy is under attack. Student loans, people are having so much issues with that. Equitable in public education, women's rights, pay equality. In South Carolina, we still haven't passed the hate crime. I think we're one of 4 states that haven't passed it. It's about expanding Medicaid. Look at so many people that can't afford regular health insurance. And because one governor, reaching all the way back to the governor, I have the brain fart there.
Is it not DeSantis?
The young Indian lady,
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley. I don't know why I couldn't.
Governor. Yeah.
She we are feeling the effects of when she was governor years ago, because she did not expand Medicaid, and the current governor didn't see the need to expand it or improve the situation. We have a moratoriums, so people that need mental help, people that need all kind of different services cannot get those things because of these type of elections. And that's why I think that's why I vote. And this should be reasons. If you don't think that you should vote or that your vote doesn't count, this is the reason to vote. Because people in the presidential elections, they believe their votes don't count because of the electoral college. But when you're voting in primaries and local elections, that does not count. Your vote actually does matter, and it's vote for vote that's going to be able to make a difference in these subject matters.
That's so true. And I'm glad you said a lot of what you said. Every election does count. And what people don't realize, you may not have an electoral college, but you need to vote in state house, state senate elections, because they're the folks who do redistricting. They determine district lines that determine who get selected on federal level. And that's just a good example of why we need to vote in every election, beyond the issues that you just rattled off like that, because that we got to make sure we elect quality people who are going to do quality redistricting and gerrymandering. As a matter of fact, we just need to end gerrymandering, period.
Yes.
Okay, you're there. What are your thoughts regarding voting in every election?
Well, it's a little loud around me, so I'll try to be quick. But Ebony mentioned that a lot of people feel that our vote don't count, and that's something that's shared with a lot of people, especially in our community, and especially in my population, to be exact. The younger Black population feels that no matter whether we vote or not, it's already established who's going to win. Ebony alluded to the fact that is not the case, especially in local elections. We must vote. And the reason I vote is because this is the only way and the best way that we hold our local officials accountable.
Amen.
If we do not vote, we have no voice. Our vote is our voice, and we must use it. Too many people have fought for that, for us not to utilize it any and every chance we have.
That's right.
That's so true. As I was listening to you, and it doesn't matter what party, it doesn't matter their gender, their race, we have to hold every single one of them accountable, because they're making decisions that impact all of us. And also, we have to understand that they report to us. And I think too many elected officials have forgotten they report to the people. The people do not report to them.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
And every once in a while, you could take them out of office. Stop letting people sit in office 20, 25, 30 years.
Yes, even if they're your cousin, if they not serving your purpose, they got to go.
That's
yes,
right.
Sir.
That's right. They do.
Mm-hmm.
They do. So we want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. And once again, remind you that you have until tomorrow to register to vote online. You could go to scvotes.org and register online. And as a matter of fact, if you're already registered, because of everything that is happening with voter suppression across this country, and yes, in South Carolina too, go to scvotes.org and check your voter registration. Make sure you are still current in the voter registration, and you can do that at scvotes.gov also. So check your voter registration, even if you're already registered, and make sure that everything is in order so that you don't have any problems when you go to vote.
And one more thing before we move on, Ms. Marilyn, let me drop it. If our vote did not matter, there would not be such a targeted effort to negate our vote, to make sure that we cannot use our vote. So that should be evidence of proof right there in itself.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I totally agree with you on that. And I know Ebony is saying yes, so she does too. But you're right. They would not work so hard to prevent us from voting. And, I would like one day, and I'm putting this out in the atmosphere right now, folks. We want to hear from young folks. Y'all come on and tell us why y'all don't vote. Not only just young folks, but if you don't vote consistently, contact any one of us and let us know why. We would love to have you on the show. It's not about beating you up. It's about learning from you and understanding why you don't vote on a consistent basis or you don't vote at all, and have a real conversation so we can address your concerns. All right. Go ahead, Ebony.
Marilyn, I see that we have one of our viewers, Ellen, I don't want to butcher the last name, Sisley.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak on that? Or Deontay, one of the others, says, what do you think of the strategy to take a Republican primary ballot as defense strategy before the general? So one thing before we even answer that, what I would like to say is that, so the NAACP, from that standpoint, we are nonpartisan. So we have to put that out there. We just encourage people to get out and vote. We have every single year, I think last year, for the presidential election was the highest turnout was Georgetown County. It was 72% of all the voters that got out and voted, which is a high turnout. Now, usually primary local elections, they don't have quite a turnout, but the point is, I just had to establish that there are enough registered people to make a difference in things that really matter. Pay equality, women's rights, things of that nature, but people just don't get out and vote. So, but I want to also jump on this question so that she can at least know, we can give some insight to that.
Well, first we're going to re-emphasize that we're nonpartisan. So that's very important. But to give my personal opinion, make sure we know that. Can't talk on behalf of the NAACP, but my personal opinion is I don't think voting in the Republican primary and you're not a Republican is going to make much of a difference. I don't think that's a good strategy. I think it's much more strategic and better to run a Democrat in every election, every seat, and that will increase turnout. And I was actually just reading this week that if you, I can't remember which state it was, might have been Illinois, someplace, that when they had Democrats running in every seat, in local offices and state offices, turnout increased 1 to 2% because it engaged more people. And that's what we want. We want more people getting out and voting, and we got to give them a reason to vote. Plus, I don't think it's fair to those who've decided to run as Democrats in the Democratic primary to go vote in another party's primary, trying to influence that when you still have to elect quality Democrats. You got to make sure the right Democrat is elected too. That's just my personal opinion. If you feel like you want to do it, go ahead and do it. But I think there are valid reasons why we should not do that. Deontay, you have any thoughts about that?
No, ma'am. I think you covered it well.
Yeah, and we have Democrats are running as their gubernatorial candidates, the United States Senate candidates. I cannot speak to every local race, but because I don't know every city in South Carolina. But I think it's just as important that we go and elect quality Democrats. If you identify as a Democrat, go ahead and elect the quality Democrat to run in November. Yeah, and that's all I got to say about that. So, yeah. Y'all, before we go to our next topic, we've learned of some very sad news, unfortunately, that a longtime community leader, political activist, Jimmy Young, he currently is serving on the Election Commission, has passed away. And we want to send our heartfelt condolences to his family. Jimmy Young, he knew my father back in the day when they were all active doing the do. getting single member districts passed, really out there fighting the fight. Back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, Jimmy Young was there also out in the county. And we've just received unfortunate news that he has passed away. And he was active on the election commission, and which so we send our heartfelt condolences to his family. And it also brings up a point. It's not only important to vote, it is important to serve on commissions and committees. So that means that a position is going to come open. I believe our state elected officials will decide who will sit on the election commission. So once again, that is another example of why it's important that we all vote and who we have representing us on the state level, so that they can appoint folks who represent the entire county.
If I'm not mistaken, Miss Marilyn, that's a Senator Ronnie Sabb appointment.
Okay. All right. So Senator Ronnie Sabb has that appointment. But once again, we send our heartfelt condolences to Jimmy Young's family. He definitely was a community advocate, community activist. All right, Ellen, thank you also for your question. We somehow managed to work around those questions and hopefully give you quality answers that we can all live with and move forward on. All right, our next topic is the steel mill. What's going on with the steel mill? What I do know, if you don't know, those who do not know, the steel mill, there has been a zoning board appeal in the city of Georgetown regarding the zoning for the steel mill. And they deferred it, I guess is the best way to put it, Deontay, last time they met, and that's coming up. But if you want to have your say, and I think anyone who knows the NAACP, we are about the living wage. We are about getting quality and keeping quality jobs in Georgetown. So we are supporting the effort to keep the steel mill open. Those jobs are they're living wage jobs, more than a good living wage in Georgetown, South Carolina. And we want to encourage folks to come out to the Zoning Board of Appeals in the city of Georgetown and show your support for those living wage jobs in Georgetown. Deontay, your thoughts? While I'll bring up a picture, I have a picture of a number that people can call, but your thoughts regarding
Well, I just think that it's politics being played here. And that's a shame when it comes to individuals who basically earn their living working at that steel mill. And as you said, it's one of the only jobs in the area where individuals make a living wage. And we want to get rid of this to bring in hotels and industry that align with tourism. And these jobs, most of the time, are very close to minimum wage. So I beg the question, what is best for the people in this situation? Not what is best for business or what is best for commerce or what is best for the politicians. What is best for the people? What is going to help feed your family if you work at that steel mill or you have a family member that retired from the steel mill? What's best for the people? That's all that matters.
Yeah, and I have a picture up. It has a phone number, and I'm going to post that right now, folks. You can call this number and share with the city administrators your opinion regarding the steel mill. That's 843-545-4010. Make that call. If you can't make the meeting, call and make a comment and leave it with them and let them know that you want that steel mill to stay open. I find it interesting, Deontay, that there are political parties that are working to use government to shut down business.
Yeah, and they will literally benefit from the shutdown of that business.
Exactly. And I don't care what party you are, government is not in the job of shutting down businesses. And, it's very contradictory. And I just wanted to point that out to folks that, we don't have anything against hotels, etc. What we do have a problem with are minimum wage jobs.
Yes.
That's what we have a problem with. And unfortunately, many tourism related businesses, service jobs, retail jobs, hotel jobs are minimum wage. And therefore folks are ending up working 2 to 3 jobs just to pay the bills. So as they talk about shutting down the steel mill, are they also talking about supporting living wage jobs? And with inflation, happening, which that's a whole nother show to talk about inflation and people understanding inflation. If minimum wage had kept up with inflation the last 30 years, 40 years, the living wage should actually be about $22. But with the recent rise in inflation, where it's impacting more people, where previously inflation always impacted Black and brown people, now it's broadening that demographic and who is impacting. Now they're looking at like $30 an hour being a living wage, and I don't hear people talking about raising minimum wage to a living wage. You got to listen to what people say and watch what they do, and really be discerning and critical about what people say, and do your research, get informed. As a matter of fact, don't even trust everything that we say. I want you to trust us, but go do your research. We got people here. We do a lot of reading, we do a lot of discussions. We are out here getting informed. We're just not talking.
Miss Marilyn, a lot of people are just struggling right now, and I think our elected officials, both locally, state, and federal, just outright lack compassion. And I'm not talking about one party or the other. I'm talking about overall. Our elected officials lack compassion for what's really going on right here in these local streets. And that's a shame. That's why it's important to vote.
I agree with you, Deontay. I think Ebony and I, in our conversation yesterday, we said empathy. I have never seen so many elected officials who lack empathy. It's not until maybe a personal friend or family member gets hit by something unfortunate that a lot of them all of a sudden wake up and they want to pass bills and laws and stuff. But empathy means you could see someone else in a bad and unfortunate condition and understand that you have a role in helping that condition better. That's empathy. And I don't see it in a lot of elected officials. As a matter of fact, I see a lot of judgment from elected officials. Oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So it's a personal responsibility, where a lot of this is systemic. Why there also a lot of it is because elected officials are not making decisions to address real issues, real problems.
And also, let's not mistake sympathy for empathy. They sound similar, but they're not the same. Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone. Empathy is just understanding what they're going through and seeing what you can do to help.
That's right. So, yeah, I agree with you on that one, Deontay. All right. So Ebony gave me K through 12 education. I hope she can come back in and talk about K through 12 education while we're actually discussing that today, because there's a lot going on with K through 12 education. But while we are waiting on her to pop back in, Deontay, let's talk about where you are and encourage folks to come on out, because I heard it's going to be a fun event. It is a fun event.
Let me see if I can walk around here, but yeah, I'm out here in these streets today at St. Paul AME in Plantersville, and there's a community event going on out here. Earlier today there was a parade, and now individuals are just out here having a good time, enjoying each other. We've got vendors out here, we've got food, we've got people out here with tents advertising their business. We've got voter registration. Say hey, y'all. We've got toddlers out here giving vaccinations as well. It's just a good event. And I'm also out here with my company, Wise Solutions, signing up people to get free mental health consultations. So if you're in the area, make your way out here to St. Paul AME in Plantersville and utilize any of these services that you need.
What road is St. Paul on, Deontay? What road is St. Paul AME on?
Exodus Drive.
Okay, so you can't mix it, folks. If you're leaving,
and there's also events for the kids as well. There's a jump castle, games. It's a family event.
Very good. I see there's a lot going on behind you. Thank you for doing a scan of the area. There is a lot going on out there, folks. And Deontay, speaking of mental health, what age mental health counseling? Is there a limit on the age with the free mental health counseling?
No, ma'am. I actually, my population that I specialize in is children and family services. So, kids and adults can come out and get a free mental health consultations all month of May, since May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Deonta. Y'all going out to St. Paul AME Church on Exodus Road in the Plantersville community. Ebony, K through 12, education. Is there anything we need to know? And if you're talking, unmute because we can't hear you. She's back in here, folks.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, Carolyn. Can you repeat that again? I lost my microphone.
K through 12 education, that was on our list to discuss, and I know you shared that with me, so I didn't know if you had anything in specific to talk about with K through 12 that our community needs to know about as we wrap up the show.
Marilyn, there is so much to talk about with K-12. Really, Mr. Neal was the person who was supposed to be prepared to speak on this particular topic. There's a lot going on that the NAACP is addressing. And I'm not exactly sure of what topics in specific that he wanted to put out there. But what I will say is this: because May is Mental Health Awareness Month, we need to take special care to bringing awareness to the fact that, guys, we're technically still in a pandemic. We might have lifted rules and restrictions and face masks and all that stuff, but we are still in a pandemic, and our children in K through 12 are still suffering from having been isolated. Grades have dropped and things of that nature because of it. And something that we need to also pay special attention to are especially the children that have IEPs. For those of you who are not aware of what IEPs, those are specific education plans for children that have learning disabilities or emotional needs, that they need extra help and extra care. But because of sometimes being short-staffed, it could be some of it's money allocations. Sometimes it's not having enough people like Deonta who have the expertise to be able to handle these children. Our kids are suffering. Also with bullying, please talk to your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whoever about bullying. We have children that are not in a good mental space because of bullying. And there's so much going on in our schools. Maybe Deonta, we've talked about a number of things that are going on, but it really takes a community effort. It takes parents, it takes teachers, it takes the board members of the school district. It takes a lot of different things. And my concern right now with K through 12 is not only in Georgetown County and not only in South Carolina, but nationally, the public schools are under attack. You know, you have folks that are looking at privatizing, taking public funds to privatize schools. You have other political parties out there who their goals, speaking of elections, are to get nestled into the boards of these school districts on the state and on the district level to penetrate what parents want. And it's a very biased thing, and nobody seems to be looking out for the best interest of the children. It's about what constituents want and the narrative that they want to portray inside of our school systems. We need to get back to our children, and also making sure that our teachers and staff, that they are compensated, and that we boost their morale so that they feel like they want to come back to teach these children at a record level. Now, keep in mind, we were short staff of teachers and staff before the pandemic. Right now, you have people, the teachers and staff, that are going ahead and taking their retirement packages, and I don't blame them. And they're leaving. Good teachers, good staff members. And again, who suffers? The children, while they're playing these political games. That's all I have to say about that.
Very good. Thank you very much. That was a lot to say. Deonta, you have any?
There's so much to say. I think later on in this week, Mr. Neal and I, since he's indisposed, we'll come on and do a special live presentation because there's a lot we have to cover. I don't even want to speak on that right now, but there's a lot. We'll come on with a special show and we'll talk about a lot of what's going on.
Yeah, we'll have to do that, and we'll let everybody know. I do want to say this one thing. Ebony, thank you. Deontay, thank you. I do not have children in the school system. I have nieces and nephews have gone through the school systems in South Carolina, North Carolina, Arizona, different states. And so we got most of them, they're in college now, wrapping up college. But I am just as concerned about our public school system, K through 12, because I'm a business owner. And I look at who are going to be the employees of the future, who are going to be the business owners.
That's right.
And it starts K through 12 and giving our children a good foundation.
Yes.
So that they can be either employers as a business owner, or they can be a good employee. And that just sets the foundation for their future success. And I want to employ good people.
Right.
I do. And honestly, our school districts need help. And I think it's not just the school district that have problems, but a lot of this, it all starts at home. And we need to start looking at ourselves as individuals and what are we doing? And, and y'all know I say this kind of facetiously, but I kind of mean it because I consider myself a liberal. But when it comes to our children, we need to set them up for the best. We need to set them up for the best, and that starts at home. And we need to stop expecting our education systems to raise our kids. They're there to educate our kids.
That's right.
It starts at home. I think Ebony, you and I were talking about this. The day you bring your child home from the hospital or from the midwife, or if you had a home birth, that is the day you start educating your child. As a matter of fact, before the child's out of the womb, you play some music. Ebony, you talk to the babies. I remember my nieces and nephews, I was heavily involved with them when they were babies and children and teenagers, reading to them. I was visiting their home or they were visiting me, taking them to museums, taking them to festivals such as what's going on at St. Paul AME Church, to get them involved in the community and just talk to the elders. You're going to meet people out there who have a story to tell. That's education.
That's education. That's right.
That's education, folks. And that education impacts the education they receive in the public school system. And
that's right.
And we just got to, that's just my opinion on it.
Well, Marilyn, you brought up a really good point. You and I were talking about this just yesterday. I used to read to my baby before she was born. I talked to her when she was born. You continue to read books. And by the time she was 4 years old and ready to go to Head Start, guess what? She was already to a point where she knew what I expected of her at her age. She knew that that when you go to school, you have to treat those teachers as if it were mommy, because essentially a lot of these staff members and teachers are moms and dads to these kids a whole 8 hours while they're away with us. So when you remove behavior problems as much as possible, then the teacher is able to do what they need to do. And your child is sound and ready and prepared with the mindset to learn, because you had been doing that the whole entire time. You're making sure that they're getting proper amount of rest. You're making sure that they eat so that they're growing, that they're up on their doctor's appointments. All of those things have everything to do with education. Now, I know that we spoke about a lot of problems. I spoke on a number of problems in the school district, but I don't want to overshadow that there are also a lot of good things that are going on. One of the good things that's going on in Georgetown County, and I'm so very proud of it, Miss Singleton, over at the school district, they have made sure to partner I think this may be the third or fourth year that they've partnered with Horry Georgetown Tech. Folks, your children have the opportunity to be able to go to high school and be certified in some type of my daughter got certified in nursing. They have other degrees that students can get, and these students will graduate from from technical school, from Horry Georgetown Tech, before they even graduate from high school, which is amazing. Students are coming straight out of high school, getting jobs that are $20 and $24 an hour because of those partnerships that we're making for students to get higher levels of education. So that's one of the good things that are going on. But we have so many other issues. It seems like they overwhelm the things that are going on that are positive. But I do want people to understand that there are some good things that are going on. But we definitely have to continue to hold these elected officials accountable, because our children's education is at stake. Whether you have children or not, like you said, you don't have to have children in the school district.
Yeah. It's it's the African proverb. It takes a village to raise a child, and it's true. It's true. If you don't have children or your children have finished, it is just as important that we invest in a quality public education, because we've got to set our children up for success. And you're correct. It starts in the womb, as you said, Ebony. Yeah.
And one more thing, and this goes to show, and I love how you say, Marilyn, everything is connected. Everything is interconnected. So when you think of something that seems to be like a separate issue or a separate policy, it's not separate. So when we talk about K through 12, that's one thing. But it's important that we set the foundation of K through 12 in a way that facilitates whenever it's time for higher education. Where do you think we get teachers to teach children? They had to have a strong K through 12 so that they can go on for higher education, so they can circle right back around to educate our children, and not just the school system, but in other things that these children, our current, not future, our current generation, to fuel right now. Marilyn, I forgot how many millions of jobs that we are behind right now, but all of that started with K through 12. Understand, trust, and believe. This is definitely, education is a very political thing that should not be political. And we said it before, even with the pandemic. The pandemic should have been all about science. We didn't let science rule the pandemic. That's why so many people died. That's why so many people who even survived it are still having health problems right now. Education is very political, which should not be, but we're in a situation where we have to definitely tackle and fight this thing in a political way.
That's very true, Ebony. And unfortunately, it has been made political for decades, and it's impacting our children. It's impacting our country and the future of our children and country. So I totally agree with you on that. Ebony, Deontay had to go because he's working at the event, so he had to go. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up today. We said it was going to be a quick show, come in and let everybody know what was going on, and to remind everybody to get registered to vote online. And don't forget to vote, because your vote matters on Tuesday, June 14th. That is primary day. So y'all go ahead and vote. If you have any questions, stay in tune with what we're doing here at Spotlight, brought to you by the NAACP. Ebony's heading out. I'm heading out. And I want just one quick thank you to Representative Patricia Moore Hennigan. She is chair of the South Carolina Black Caucus, Legislative Black Caucus. She dropped in some lines on my page where we're showing this show, and just reminded everyone to get out and vote. So we want to thank Representative Hennigan for dropping that reminder to go vote on Tuesday, June 14th. Ebony, always good to see you. Thank you for coming and joining me. We're going to see everybody next Saturday at 11 a.m. on Spotlight. Y'all go out to St. Paul AME Church today. And like and share this show. We're on YouTube and Facebook. And make sure everybody knows that we're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Thanks, Ebony. Go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.